All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. The two sisters who make up the group Heart, although it wasn't always that way, they've always had other support players, and technically they still do. But if you go back into the early days of the band, it was more than just Ann and Nancy Wilson. Those early Heart albums relied heavily on that original band, which to me is still always going to be the best. But these days, the sisters have kind of parted ways again. And in a recent article, Ann and Nancy Wilson are still kind of separate. Ann Wilson has told an interviewer that Hart has no plans to work on new or fresh music, as she called it, in the immediate future. She said, nope, not at present. And she just sounds very perfunctory about it. Like, this is the way things are. She says, we haven't written together in a while. She lives in San Francisco and I live in Florida. And the times we do see each other are times when Hart goes out on tour. So these sisters aren't hanging out together other than when they go out on tour. That's a pretty blunt statement. And of course, last year, Hart wasn't able to tour thanks to the lockdowns. Anne goes on to say, she's living her life and I'm living mine. She's collaborating with some really cool people, and so am I. So when the time is right, I imagine we'll write together, or we'll take some of these songs that she's writing and I'm writing and do them with Heart. So yeah, there'll be collaboration in the future of some kind. Very unenthusiastic, very open-ended, doesn't sound very committed. So the most telling part of this little interview that she does is that the only time she sees her sister is when Hart goes out on tour. So I truly believe, and based on how that whole thing came back together again, it was mostly Nancy saying, look, we've got a big offer on the table. Let's go out and do this tour. And again, Nancy was the one who obviously was the offended party. I mean, what happened to her during this whole domestic thing, I think, again, nobody ever apologized for anything. Nobody owned up to what happened. And I think that's had some lingering effects, at least from a public perception standpoint. Now, if you could kind of care less about Heart because they're becoming more and more irrelevant over time, and radio stations are focus testing their music down to just a precious few songs from the 80s and a couple here and there from the 70s. I mean, their catalog is pretty deep and pretty extensive, and certainly deserves to be heard on radio stations more than it's being heard. But this is something that's happening across the board. This is a band that's like 45 years they've been at this, right around that mark, maybe a little bit longer or shorter, but 45 years of doing this. And a lot of bands that are hitting that 40 or 50-year mark are becoming less and less relevant in today's music scene. You couple that with the domestic problems the band has had, and the fact that, quite honestly, Nancy seems to be the one that wants to carry this torch forward. Her latest material sounds much more Heart-centric, like late 70s Heart-centric, than anything Ann Wilson has done as a solo artist. And I think that speaks volumes to where these two are at philosophically and musically, and obviously as sisters. The fact that they only see each other when the band goes out on tour, I pretty much just speaks it all here. So Anyway, wanted to give you an update on the two sisters in the band Heart. Uh, Most fans just want them to get together and play music and hopefully make some music that sounds like Heart. It is doable. Um, Nancy is doing it on her upcoming solo album, which I think comes out in about a week. And Wilson, on the other hand, continues to dabble in the Seattle rock scene and all this stuff that I just think is very much removed from what Heart fans expect from this band. All right, that's my opinion. You can disagree with it. It's fine. I understand. I appreciate you watching the videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and Patreon for just $1 a month, people. Keeps the channel going. We lose some patrons at the beginning of the month, which it's the beginning of the month. And hopefully during the month, we gain a few back. So if you want to support, it's only $1 a month and it's fairly painless. And we can have conversations over on Patreon if you want to send me a message or whatnot. That is the safest and best way to do it. All right, I'm done and I'll see you soon.